Welcome to the season finale of Revolutionary War Rarities, the podcast from the Sons of the American Revolution. We are thankful to all of you for watching and listening. Please consider subscribing to the Revolutionary War Rarities YouTube channel and click the bell so that you will be notified when a new episode is released. Please also consider joining our Facebook group and subscribe on your favorite podcast application. Now enjoy the season finale entitled The One That Started It All, with special guest, Medal of Honor recipient Captain Gary Mike Rose.
The One That Started It All, Season 1, Episode 17. Hi, everyone, and welcome to Season 1, Episode 17 of Revolutionary War Rarities. My name is Jim Griffith.
And my name is Jim Maples.
Jim Maples, this is the final episode of Season 1. Although it is Episode 17, Season 1 has consisted of 26 regular season episodes and one Christmas special.
Yeah.
The reason for episode 17 being the last episode of the season is that we wanted to end it with a big bang, with a big guest, an honored guest, and we certainly have one today in the studio with us. We are honored to have with us a very real American hero, and that is Captain Gary Mike Rose. He is a longtime friend of the Sons of the American Revolution, and he is a fellow member of the Sons of the American Revolution, which we would refer to as a compatriot. But to top it out, Mike Rose is a recipient of the Medal of Honor, and that is obviously the highest honor that can be bestowed on anyone in the United States, not just within the armed forces. So Mike Rose, we are honored to have you with us here today. Thank you so much for being here.
Well, Mike, I want to thank you and your wife, Margaret, for your support of the Sons of the American Revolution. Even before you became a member, we certainly consider you to be a true friend of this organization, as well as a tremendous American hero.
Well, thank you both, and I'm happy to be here and look forward to talking to you guys today. I hope we make sense.
Oh, we will.
So I understand that we're going to talk about the United States Armed Forces medals and where it all began, correct?
That is correct.
Well, okay, I'd like to start with some questions for you, if it's okay.
Mike, as a Medal of Honor recipient, you can start as you see fit, so have at it.
Did you know there is no mention of medals or honors after 1783 until 1862, when the Medal of Honor was created? One point, the only medal that the military presented was the Medal of Honor.
Wow.
But now there are more than 200 different medals, badges, and ribbons that can be awarded the armed services to soldiers and officers.
Well, Mike, roughly how many medals, badges, and ribbons have you received?
Well, I've received one medal since my retirement, and that was a Medal of Honor. Along with that medal, I have received the Bronze Star with Oakley Cluster B, the Meritorious Service Medal, the Air Medal for making 25 assaults against armed force. I have Army Accommodation Medal and 3 Purple Hearts. And
if you don't mind me asking, I know it gets no higher than the Medal of Honor, but I'm just curious, what was the second highest medal that you received?
Yeah, the Bronze Star.
The Bronze Star. Okay. All right. All right, so I got a question for you. Do you know the name of the original or the first badge or first medal?
Tim, that would be the Badge of Military Merit.
That's correct.
And we've got one right here.
That's a manufactured version.
So around August the 7th, 1782, was the Military Badge of Merit. Is that right?
Yeah, I think that was also the first medal designed to be awarded to soldiers and non-commissioned officers. Historically, most people who got a medal of some were not just the commanding officer, but they were like the general in charge of the army or the regimental. You know, they were probably flag officer rank.
Yeah.
And they were awarded by the various kings or dukes or whatever. knighthood kind of deal.
Yeah.
Now, during World War in 1918, the military started passing regulations and authorizations for the Distinguished Service Cross, Silver Star, and Bronze Star. Now, the Bronze Star was created in 1942. Okay? But the point is that in 1918 is when the Department of Defense said, wait a minute, we got to get a handle on this stuff. I think by 1912, the Army realized the horizon coming with awards decorations. I think somebody, and I don't know who was chief of staff at the time, but definitely had to get a handle on it. I think,
Yeah.
But otherwise it's just going to, it's going to be people designing their own medals.
So the one that started it all was the Military Badge of Merit, which turns out to be the original Purple Heart.
Right. Purple Heart up until 1942 could be issued to somebody for
Great service at the Pentagon or something. They took that away, the merit issue, and it became for wounds.
Okay.
And then there were other medals that were for service. The service medals, combat awards, and then you have badges.
So tell us about the Purple Heart.
In 1932,
The
badge of military merits was officially, with General Order Number 3, replaced by General MacArthur, signed off by President Hoover, and I'm sure the Secretary of War, I think at the time, was in charge of he's now called it Secretary of Defense, but then he was Secretary of War. I'm sure that, and the service secretaries probably had a say in it too, but
So the Badge of Military Merit was the first honor, first medal, first award in the United States Army that ever existed. And in 1932, you're saying that Douglas MacArthur created the Purple Heart, which was the
General Order Number 3 specifically states, I believe, that it is a replacement
for the Badge of Military Merit. So that is the one that started it all. Do you know how many soldiers received the original Badge of Military Merit?
Well, we've only been able to verify 3, or historians have.
Okay.
There is some supposition that there might be another
29 additional ones,
and that's based on records coming out of the 13 states.
So if that is true, if there is only 3 that were given out, and that's a big if because we think there might have been more, then that would be the most rarely presented medal in the history of American military.
Yes, and just a comment, there's only one that's older, and it's the Order of St. George, which is a Russian medal that came out in 1769.
I believe that's right. All right, so do we know what happened to the Badge of Military Merit, why it was only awarded to 3 people?
Well, I don't think there's an answer to that, other than the fact that, George Washington did the first 3, and I don't know if they had a process. So it seems to me that George Washington just approval. Maybe nobody submitted the 4th name or the name of Washington.
All right.
So like out of the estimated 41 million Americans who have served in the armed forces, roughly 1.8 million have been given the Purple Heart, making up about 4.4% of all those who have served.
You aware of any famous people that have received it?
John F. Kennedy, president, but I in my mind, I think anybody who has the Purple Heart is on equal footing.
Yeah.
You can go to the Medal of Honor Foundation in New York, and they got a list of everybody who's ever been awarded the Purple Heart. Although their records, they say, are over 99% accurate. But
okay.
I understand, Mike, you can receive the Purple Heart more than one time. Is that true? What's the most that anyone has ever received a Purple Heart?
Well, I can guarantee you that every time you step in front of a bullet or a mortar round or have your feet turned up over your head with an explosion in a combat zone, and you get hurt, you're going to get a Purple Heart. There was a gentleman in the Vietnam War called Curry T. Haynes. He's He's got 10. I don't recommend you standing too close to him.
Okay. So, Mike, back to the Revolutionary War era, you mentioned that only 3 people have been confirmed to have received the original Badge of Merit. Can you tell us who they were and what became of their badge?
Well, Sergeant Elijah Church, Sergeant Daniel Bissell, all from Connecticut, or we should say both were from Connecticut, I guess. And then there was this Sergeant William Brown, who was the 3rd one. Now, his badge is stated to be in the American Independent Museum in Exeter, New Hampshire. I believe Mr. Churchill's badge is on display in New Windsor, New York. And then the last one was destroyed, I understand, in a fire in 1813. Okay, so really, in summary, I think up until the Civil War, Europeans were giving out medals to mainly high-ranking officials. And so the American hierarchy felt it was too European-esque.
But really, in summary, right, I mean, this was the original one, the Badge of Military Merit, which became the Purple Heart.
And I think it could be considered the grandfather of all other service awards that the United States issues from Guard. And I think that that's even inclusive in the civilian awards that are available to civilian employees of the various departments.
So anytime you look at a military individual or even non-military individuals, when you look at medals that people are wearing, the one that started it all was started by the man that started it all, George Washington, and that is the Military Badge of Merit, which ended up becoming the Purple Heart. Now, there was a period of time where there were no medals or honors that were given between the Revolutionary War and the Civil War. And I'm kind of going back through everything we've already hashed through, but in the Civil War, that is when the original Medal of Honor was created. And then there was another kind of dead period for medals until World War I.
But there was nothing there was no U.S. congressional action that I can find, or Department of Defense or Department of War, I guess back then, or even this, except for the Navy created their version of and I can't think of the name of the Medal of Honor.
So the United States did not have medals and honors of any significance until, when I say any significance, I mean numbers, a lot of different medals, until World War I and beyond, up to the present time. Prior to that, the only 2 that really existed were the Medal of Honor, which was created during the 1862 during the Civil War, and the Military Badge of Merit, which is the one that started it all.
Right.
And fought. So the badge that was designed to honor military merit became the long-standing badge to honor those who were wounded or killed in battle. And that is the Purple Heart. This country, and certainly our military, has established and grown old tradition and learning from history. And that includes the awards that are given and the reasons they are given. Alexander Hamilton is quoted as saying, "There is a certain enthusiasm in liberty that makes human nature rise above itself in acts of bravery and heroism." The Sons of the American Revolution salute all of those great American heroes who frequently gave their lives to give us liberty. It was a gift that a simple Purple Heart, originally established by General George Washington, was meant to commemorate and continues to do so today. And again, we are honored to have had Medal of Honor recipient Captain Gary Mike Rose with us today. Mike, thank you again.
As a proud member of the Sons of the American Revolution, I'm happy to join you today, and I am thankful for the role the Sons of the American Revolution play in our incredible nation, especially in the education of the.
Thank you. Thank you again, Mike. For more information on Captain Gary Mike Rose, please visit the Congressional Medal of Honor Society website at www.cmohs.org. Please be sure to join us in 2 weeks for the start of Season 2 and the next episode of Revolutionary War Rarities. It has been a great inaugural season, Jim Maples, for our podcast, one which has resulted in significant growth. But we do need your help. We need your friends. We need your word of mouth to help us continue on our current growth pattern. So please consider sharing our podcast with your friends. And thank you to all of our listeners out there. Onward and upward, gentlemen. My name is Jim Griffith.
And my name is Jim Maples. This has been a production of the National Society Sons of the American Revolution, www.sar.org.
For more information about the Medal of Honor, the Sons of the American Revolution recommend Medal of Honor, Portraits of Valor Beyond the Call of Duty by Peter Collier, and Brothers in Valor, Battlefield Stories of the 89 African Americans awarded the Medal of Honor by Robert F. Jefferson Jr. and Colonel Gian S. Bluford Jr.